Hey Facebook, how are you this evening? Thursday evening. I'm so excited today. I really am. I'm always excited actually when I come on, but today I am super excited because I'm just going to look. We got a super guest coming on today. She is friggin' amazing, and I'm just going to invite her on. There we go. Yeah, so look, episode 7 of the Soul Truth Conversation show. So we've done our last 6 weeks. If you want to catch up on any replays, go over to my personal Facebook profile, or go over to my YouTube channel now. Yeah, I have a YouTube channel, like all the friggin' things, that you can go and catch it. And it is called the Soul Truth Conversation show. So you can catch all the other shows, all the other episodes on there. And today we are on episode 7, and we're going to be talking all about the soul truth around big dreams and home education. And you may think that these are like way out there, completely different, like what the hell are we doing over here talking about all this stuff? But there is our guest speaker tonight has, or this morning from where she's from, has definitely been able to live a life where she's combined the two things together, you know, her life, her kids' life, her business, and all this beautiful stuff. So I'm just waiting for her to come on now. So as soon as, if you're there, Jana, then please come on, say hello, and I can let you straight in. But in the meantime, you may be thinking, who the hell am I? Well, I'm Claire Chapman, and I've been on the online space now for about 4 years or so, and I just love to help women stand in their truth. I'm all about truth. That's like not my word, you know, but it's my thing, all about truth. Yeah, here comes Jana. So I'm just going to invite Jana on, bring her on. Guest request. Okay. Jana, try and connect yourself, or I can see if I can invite you on. Got to update your app. Of course you have. No problem. Jump in whenever you're ready. Jump in whenever you are ready. What was I saying? Yeah, all about truth. Been in the online space for 4 years, helping women stand in their truth and really find and own their like authentic identity, as I like to call it. So Jana's going to come on and talk to us all about that. And there was something really specific that I love about Jana that helped me see life differently and really help me own my authentic truth. And she is so beautiful, so brilliant. You know, she's one of the most incredible women that I have seen that owned her truth, that wasn't following what all the other mentors were doing on the online space. She was just like, no, this is who I am, this is my life. And she just owned it. She just like owned who she was. And so she's just about to come on. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. Yeah. Hello. All the beach vibes. Jana just messaged me and was like, I'm on the beach. Is that cool? Do you want me to go inside? And I was like, no, I would expect anything any different. And I was like, Jana's going to be on the beach vibes. I'm all about the countryside and the woods. And I was like, I really should go outside, but it's pitch black because it's 8 p.m. in the UK. And I thought, we're not going to see anything. So I was trying to get the whole contrast. I'm indoors, you're outside. We're going to take your ocean vibes, Jana, and bring it all to the freaking table. Yeah.
I love it. The sun is literally just rising, and I was just like, I don't want to go inside. I want to stay out here. I'm like, I'll see if it's okay. Is it okay?
It is perfect. We've literally just got back from a weekend at a beautiful log cabin. And like normally when you're away, you want to lay in and be all lazy and just sleepy vibes. And the view was beautiful. It's over the forest, hot tub, sun rising. I was like, I want to be up early, catch the sun vibes. It was just so yummy. So yes, I'm up for all of that. So yeah, everybody, this is Jana Kingsford. Let us know if you know Jana. If you know her, then say yeah, hi. And if you're new to either my world or Jana's world, then come on and say, yep, first time that I've caught you live. Jana, I was just talking about, so I was like, you know, I'm all about standing in your truth and owning your authentic identity. And I was just explaining that this is one of the things that I absolutely loved about you, and you stood out on the online space for me because I think you really owned all of who you were. You weren't following what everybody else was doing. And you were the first person that I realized, you know, you had a great successful business and you were living out of a van on the road, and you were still making millions, and you were still in the van on the road. And I was like, there's something in this. You are owning the crap out of who you are, what you love, even though, like, you know, your success was rising, your clients are doing incredible, the money was starting to come in, the gifts that you were buying, and we're still traveling around in our van because we just love it. And I was like, okay, I need to wake up to something.
Oh my God, I love it. Millionaire in a Caravan. I was just like so excited about that title because yeah, we stayed in the van and like, I mean, we'd been traveling for years and but with a six-figure business, and so when it jumped into 7, I was like, and we're just staying in the van. We just get to like van life for anybody is like, especially the way we did van life, it wasn't cheap. It's probably about the same as what it costs here to live in a beach house, and it would probably be about 3 times as much right now with petrol prices. So it's actually quite luxury, like it's a luxury to travel in a van. I think that yeah, it's definitely like I'm living in a caravan, I'm in an RV park, and I've got $1 million business. So there's also that. I love the contrast and that surprising people. It makes me super happy.
And I think it just gave us all permission who have seen success on the online space, and it's the design handbags, and then it's the cars, and it's the houses, and it's all those kind of things. And it's like, but do you know what? I love camping. Like, I love being out under canvas, and oh, what, that's okay. Because I always used to, like, you know, whenever we were on holiday, there was a real disconnect for me because I'd be camping with the family and the kids. And this is my wounding. Like, I never used to think that was enough, and that I couldn't bring that into my business, and I would only show like sort of the high level stuff. And yet here I am with my family, like hanging out, camping, being at the beach, and not wash my hair for a week, it's up on top of my head. Do you know what I mean? Those kind of vibes. And that's what I was talking about with the authentic truth, is just like, I think you've given a lot of women the permission to go, this isn't about what the success, what the business and all can bring you. It's just that gets to expand who you are. So you had your van life, and then we had van life. It was still van life. It was just van life and then van life.
Yeah, it was the six-figure business, van life, and then afterwards, because to me van life it was, and like I still feel like living at the beach is as close as I can be to van life. So it has to be like my feet are in the sand, I haven't worn shoes, but like I walk to my Pilates barefoot, because it just still makes me feel like I'm van lifing. And for me, the van life was the container for me to be more connected with the like with my environment, for me to have my feet in the sand, to me to be in like the beach and the elements. And with comes with that was the inspiration. And what I would notice with being in 4 walls in a house, I just cannot even deal. Like, so being here, I literally sit out here all the time. I forget I have a house sometimes and I can sit inside on a couch. I'm always out here. Susie, hi Susie.
Yay, hi, Susie.
I'm always out here. So I think for me, the van life was this combination of being really close to the elements, helping me to be as me as I can be, because it was just it's like my spirit animal lifestyle. But being here, it's like the closest I can be, but still having that civilization. The sun is rising.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I love that it's given women permission. That makes me so happy, because I felt like never for a second did I think that it wouldn't, like, I was like, what? Like, yeah, I'm in a van and I have $1 million business. That's like, end.
Yeah.
But I knew that it was like so like revolutionary to so many women. I was like, oh, okay. Because I did have, I think when I was creating the million, like going, okay, I'm going to line up, I'm going to align myself to the million. Why not? I had heaps of years where I was like, well, I don't care. I can live off the beach. I had, at that point, I could live, there was this one time on the beach for 2 weeks. We lived off the land. We fished in the ocean for fish and we ate them on the campfire, and it rained, and that was our drinking water, because we
Wow.
ran out of water. But then it rained and we're like, oh, we can drink the water from the sky. And then we were running on solar power, and we had internet, so I was running my business still. And I was like, I literally need nothing. I don't need anything.
Yeah.
This is a free camp. It's free to be there. So, yeah, it was like this real, like, going, okay, I can have this and I can have that, and it doesn't need to look a certain way. It gets to look exactly how you want it to look, you know?
And I
So,
think
yeah.
that's the permission piece. And it definitely helped me to take ownership of who I am, what I love. And, you know, it doesn't need to be all these luxurious big things. You know, people, they want to do what they want to do. They want to live how they want to live and accept that and own that. And that is their truth. And that's what they want to stand in. And so, yeah, you've definitely given so much permission to so many people, including myself. So thank you for that. Let's talk big dreams, because you are Virginia of the big dreams. And this is what there's so much I love about you, but the big dream stuff. I remember like being younger, and as I started to grow up, I had this guilt around wanting more, or, you know, always kind of wanting like the best hotel rooms. And there was always this like, yeah, I just wanted more, like, and I closed it down. I used to feel very guilty for my visions, for my big dreams, and for what I really loved and what felt good for my soul. What was it like for you living and coming through with your big visions and your dreams? Like, where did it start? Did you freaking own them to begin with? And as you were moving through them, like, what was your process? How did you sink into those? Because, like I said, I used to shut myself down. There was nobody else around me with these big dreams and these big visions. And I used to make that think that I was ungrateful, or, you know, whatever the scenarios came up. What was that like for you?
Oh, I love this. Okay, so really, when I was a kid, I always had this big dream to be a writer. That was the biggest one. And secretly to be a millionaire. I always had that. Like, I was like, but don't tell anybody, because I told somebody, I was like, I want to be a writer. And they're just like, oh my God, wow, okay, that's beautiful. Oh my God, what a beautiful dream. You're like, what a good girl you are. And then I told them, and I want to be a millionaire. And they're like, yeah, well, money doesn't mean everything, you know, so it's not that important. You should probably, like, you know, and also being a writer is probably not going to be that lucrative. And you know, like, money's not everything, you know. And so I really felt from the start like, yeah, so we don't tell people those big dreams. We tell them the ones that look nice and like sound amazing. And I want to be a writer, I want to be a fireman. And everyone's like, oh my God, you're the best kid ever, I love you. And we learn the way that people react, and then we say, I
Yeah.
want to be a millionaire. They're like, oh no, you don't.
Right.
So I really felt like my childhood dream was just like, cut that out, don't tell anybody that one, but they love the writer one, let's go with that. And
Right.
so I learned to really like, I'm going to be a writer. So that was like my whole childhood. I always wanted to be a writer. And then I was like, okay, well, writer, how do I make money being a writer? And at the time it was like, I'm going to be a journalist. Okay, that's what we'll do. I'll be a journalist, because that's the only people that I know that are writers and they make money, and they
Yep.
seem to have nice cars and stuff like that. So let's go that way. And then I met my husband, who was not my husband at the time, but when I was really young, I think I was about 15, 16, and I met him, and everything kind of changed. I just went into that teenage love vibe. We fell head over heels in love. We never knew that, we never saw it coming. And I just could not focus on school anymore, and I dropped out of school. And he's like, don't drop out of school. And I'm like, I'm dropping out of school, I don't want to do it anymore. And also I sucked at school anyway. I was I wasn't even there to do school. I was there to just like see my friends, and then all of a sudden my friends weren't as exciting as my boyfriends.
Yeah.
What was I there for? And so I quit school in year 12, but then in my last year. And then I was like, okay, so I'm a high school dropout, and okay. So I think it was like just the next couple of years I spent living a pretty regular life of doing all the things regular people do for the rest of their lives, like jobs, and have a job and go to work every day. And I was like, this is really 65 years of this, like literally this is what you do every day. Like, I see my neighbors leave in the morning, and it's like this time, and then they come home at like 6 p.m. and the sun's going down. Like, what is even happening? That's a long time to be gone. But it's like, it's normal, it's a job, Jana, it's a
Yeah.
job. But I've lost touch with that. But so back to that, I think I did about 3 years of like going to a job, and I was like, oh my God, this is definitely just not for me. I'm not going to be this minion. Anyway, in that time, I have a baby. One, two, skip a few, we have a baby. And everything changed. I was like, okay, there was work before baby, and I was pretty like, I've got a good work ethic. I would go to work, I would do the things. And then I had my baby, and I was like, A, I'm not doing this till I'm 65. There's got to be a different way. This is ridiculous. And B, I'm sick of leaving my daughter. And C, how can I tell her to go after her big dreams if I never did? Because I wanted to be a writer and a millionaire, and I'm broke and hate my job. And what even, I'm a high school dropout. What even if I got to like say to my daughter, yes, you can do it? And I would see all these like mums on TV, like living through their kids, dance mums and stuff. I'm like, I'm not going to be like that. I'm going to go and achieve my dream, and then she can just do what she wants to do.
Yeah.
So it was really my first baby that gave me that like motivation to go, okay, I'm going to go after my dreams. These ones that I had when I was younger, these ones that people told me were stupid, or the ones that were like, oh, that's so beautiful. And so in my head, I was like, I'll get a university degree. So I was going from like hating my job, going to work crying because I was leaving my daughter, and going, okay, I'm a high school dropout. I'm earning like $250 a week. And after daycare, I'd make like $10. And like, I work all week for $10 because of daycare. Yep. What even is this like system? What is happening? And I'm like, nobody told me this stuff. And so I really took life into my own hands, and I signed up to university, and everyone's like, how are you going to study with kids? Because I was pregnant with my second baby by then. I was like, I don't know, but I am. Yeah. And 4 months in, I realized like how hard that was going to be, because I was a high school dropout and I never really finished my essays or anything. But 4 months in, I have this moment. I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I don't want a job also. I'm doing this university degree. It's hard. I'm pregnant with my second baby. I'm starting to grow businesses to fund and replace that, my income that I had from my shoe job. And I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And something just clicked into me, because a voice came over me for real and just said, Jana, you are here to help women feel capable of their big dreams. And I was like, okay. And I got back to work for the next 5 years, and I did my university degree. I started heaps of businesses, and I completely 360'd my life. And I really felt there the power of like a big dream. When a woman connects with a big dream, the difference, like she can move mountains, she can change her entire life. And when her entire life changes, everybody else's does around them. And so everybody's opinions of big dreams just like dissolved after that moment. I was like, you don't know what I'm doing. I'm here doing something bigger than me. And it's like, it's about something more. They're like, why are you going to university? I'm like, I have something going on here. Something is moving through me. I've got to do this. And then that was my stick. That's how I started to blog. Was I was doing university, growing these businesses, and then I started this blog because everyone was so interested in all these things that I was juggling. Called it Mum's Juggling Act. Was getting 50,000 visitors a month, and then that's how I learned how to create online businesses. And that was in like 2011. So then the rest is a lot of history, but that's kind of how I started. And that's why I care about big dreams so much, is because I've seen how much they, like, when I connected to mine, how different my life became and was. Yeah, long story. There you go.
And yeah, I've experienced, you know, when you start, you know, talking to people around you, that's, you know, you're talking about things that are just outside the norm. It's just like, yeah, right. Yeah, of course. What are you dreaming up now, Claire? Get in the real world. I don't know if you ever heard that one. Like, you need to get real. I'm like, my real world is over here. Like, this is where I'm going. But I held so much guilt for that expansion when people around me weren't expanded, and it actually kept me down for a little while. It kept me down to the space where I wasn't living my truth. I wasn't following my dreams. I ended up in a marriage, 2 kids, you know, houses, cars, all the freaking things. And yet I was like soulfully dead to the space where I wanted to quit life. And then, similar to you, in a moment, I heard this voice that said, Claire, you have to help yourself. And so I went on this whole like self-development. Who am I? What is my truth? And what does my soul really, really desire? And
it was just like, do you know what, sometimes I would just keep quiet. I wouldn't start telling people what I wanted. It was just like, just go for what you want. And it was actually more, if I call it basic, I'm not quite sure, but you know, I think this is where you were coming in with the van life, like what I actually need and want. Like I don't need for much at all. Like I just love doing the work on myself. Like, you know, I just freaking love it. Like I wake up every morning. I woke up this morning like, ah, I'm so excited for the day. And people are like, how do you do that? And I'm just like, well, I just got a whole day of life to look forward to. And I love what I do, and it really excites me. And I have these big visions, and I'm just like, but why wouldn't you? I don't understand why you wouldn't want to wake up in this, because I've now owned my visions. I've owned the big dreams, and I'm just like, every day just gets to be a stepping stone to those dreams now. And then the manifestations start coming through, and then you can see how this you know, and it's just like you just live in this whole different essence. Do you know what I mean? And then I remember getting to a place where, and I know you do your belief ethics, don't you? Like I've been with you on a couple of your courses with that I started to detach so much from myself and what money meant and what success meant and my visions. I almost got to this place of like numbness, and I was like, but now I don't need anything. I don't need money, don't need clients, don't need this, don't need that. And I panicked for a second, and I was like, what's the point now? What do we do anything for? Why do we want money? Why do we? And I went, want desire now. So I detached all the meanings, added these new meanings, and just this whole heap of desires started to come through, but from a beautiful place of not needing it. Like you were saying, you're on the beach. I didn't need anything. We were fed, we were watered, we were on the sun, we were at the beach. And that is just, to me, like ultimate place to be, when you don't need this stuff, but now it just gets to be yummy, dreamy, and, you know, fulfilling from that place. And then there's infinite.
Yeah, I love that so much, because you are just, you're just doing that thing where like somebody, when they are hooked up to the juice of big dreams, they are just in a different level of life force energy. It's like I could do anything, everything, always, and anyway. Like there's just this life force energy when you're hooked up to your big dreams. So there's that like part of it, and you're the epitome of it. I'm the epitome of it. It's, and anyone that's like, this is my big dream, and everybody's opinions become redundant. You don't even hear them anymore. I don't even hear it when people will say stuff like, you know, even like a couple of years ago, my dad, my beautiful dad, I love him. He said to me, Jana, you shouldn't talk about money on the internet. I'm like, thanks, Dad. That was it. Like it doesn't even need to be a big drama. And then another time he's just like, you shouldn't say the F word on the internet. I'm like, thanks, Dad. That's effing amazing. But it's not even a big deal. Like literally nobody's opinion, they just like go over your head, because you're like just so in the life force energy, it doesn't even dent you at all. So I love that part. And then I think that's why I'm so passionate about the work that I do, because literally when a woman is like tapped into that big dreams juice, there is infinite energy. Like you said, it's like life force energy. You can't shut it up. It's content upon content upon content. It just cannot stop. But yeah, so the other part of it is the dreams. And that was the inflection point that I noticed, that six figures for me was just meeting needs. Like six figures is just a healthy business to me. It's not like even a big deal. That's why I hit it really early, because I'm like, it's six figures, it's a healthy business. Yeah. It's not a big deal, because it wasn't a big deal in my head. I just like did it. I literally rolled out of bed, did it. It's kind of like a little bit more like I knew what I was doing, because I'd had so many businesses before. Yeah. But it was sort of like when I had the six-figure business for 6 years, and then I was like at that inflection point of, I'm at the beach, I don't need anything, I'm living my van life, we bought our caravan in cash, I'm like, I've got no debt, I've got my cars, got everything, we paid for our car, got our caravan, paid for through the business in cash. I was like, I actually literally don't need anything much. And so then I realized, so I was like, I don't even want $1 million business. So I went through a phase of like, I don't even need $1 million business. But what happened was I really took, I was like, I'm just going to coach my clients, live on the beach, and do my thing. Like, I don't even need to try. I don't even need to do much. But what happened from that is I wasn't in the field anymore. Like, I wasn't like ear to the ground, doing the thing that they wanted to do. I was just the coach, like the epitome of a coach, not so much a mentor. I was a coach because I was just coaching all these women. They were having extraordinary results, and I was just living in my caravan on the beach and happy as a pig in poo. But what happened was I was like, my ear is not to the ground. I'm getting less in touch. I'm less in touch with what is working because it's constantly changing online. It's just like this ever changing. Got to be nimble. You got to be like really like engaging all of your senses, because it will change, and you'll be doing it one way, then it stops working, and then you see the people that fall off the field are the ones that like, oh, it was working, now it's not, oh my god. But if you're like really privy and you've got all your senses engaged, you know what you're doing. So then I got to the point I was like, well, this isn't fun. And then I realized I had always operated from need, and now I no longer needed it. And I was like, do I want to be the woman who only operated from need, and now there is no need, she doesn't do jack shit? Is that how I want this story to go? And I was like, no, I'm a big dreams genie. Like it's all about the big dreams. And that's when kind of like the dream bigger came through. Like, of course you can live in the van and you can have $1 million business. It doesn't have to be if this, then that. It gets to look however you want it to look. So it became dreams beyond needs became my mantra, and it became a different operating system. I had to completely change my operating system, because at that point it was like, well, we need a 6-figure business to meet this need, this need, this need, the desire a little bit. And then we would go one big dream to another big dream, pay for our caravan in cash. That's one big dream. Okay, next big dream. And I would wait, kind of living paycheck to paycheck, but big dream to big dream.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So it was like dreams beyond dreams, or going from need beyond needs to big dreams became like this whole new field of just like overflow and abundance, and really acting from inspired action more often than not. So that's what created all this, is when I shifted from the needs to the dreams beyond dreams and dreaming bigger, and not operating from need. So that's what happened here.
I love that. So something I say, because like you say, when you don't need for anything, and when you really look at it, the basics of what you need is basic. It's the food, the water, and like kind of a roof over your head, whatever that looks like. That's what we really need. And so I was like, but because I've been brought up based on need, everything came from need. Claire, you don't need that, you know, oh, I wouldn't buy it, or I'd try and justify buying a new car, or, you know, whatever it is that my soul really desired. I had to like justify that to my parents and people around me. And so there was a lot of wounding around the need. But when you strip that back and you don't need it, I had to really own what I wanted, and own my dreams, and own my desires. And when people say, oh, well, why or what, I'm like, well, just because. Because then there's no limit, there's no need behind it, there's nothing. It's just because, you know. Oh, I want to change the car. Why? Just because
Why
I
not?
want to. Like, just because. Yeah, but you don't need one, your car's fine. Yeah, I know, I'm not doing this because I need it, just because I want to, like, just because. And that really got me out of that coming from a need place, and just owning what I wanted and going for it without any justification, any attachments. It was like, yep, just because. And even my son now, like, he was so funny the other day, we were in the supermarket and he had some pocket money on him. He was only 10. And I had some Lindt chocolates for my birthday, and he said, Mummy, do you remember those chocolates that you had for your birthday? Yeah. Could I get some? And I'm like, well, do you really need them? And I was like, stop. And he went, no, Mum, I desire them. And I was like, yes. And then there was a smaller box and a bigger box, and I just automatically default went to the smaller box, because why does he need a big box? And I was like, oh, these. And he was like, no, Mummy, these. And he said, but I just desire them. And I went, well, then you must have them. And it just starts at such that small level to just let them think big, go for what they desire, without need, without any of this. And yeah, it's a box of chocolates, but later on it'll be his home, it'll be whatever he wants, you know, and helping them by just saying, yeah, just because you can have things, just because I was brought up with a child, well, if you need it, we'll have it. If you need some new shoes, we're going to get them. If you need this, then we're going to get them. And it's like, yeah, and look, just open it up, just because. Why do you want that bigger dream? Well, just bigger than the next one, just because. I love it.
Mm.
So, Jana, throughout all of this amazingness that you've been doing, you were, I don't know whether you want to call it homeschooling, home ed, self-learning. Your kids came with you on this journey, didn't they?
They sure did. All three of them.
All
Yeah.
three. So I've experienced, I'll call it home education, with my son, with my youngest. I've got 2 stepchildren who are at school. My daughter's at school, and my son, from November, has been homeschooling. And again, this is something like that was really new to me. I was not aware of something outside of a system. Like, I just knew, you know, you have your kids, you take them to preschool, they go into junior school, into high school, and we're away. That's what school is. And anyway, something happened with my son at his school, and we pulled him out, and people started to talk to me like, you know, he doesn't need to go to a school. I was like, but how's he going to get educated? You know, all that, how's he going to do his maths and his English and things like that? Anyway, did some research, and this whole world just opened up to the fact now I'm just like, oh my God, school systems, like, oh my God, there's a whole nother way of learning. And my son has just excelled since November in just different activities. The different ways that he's learning now is blowing my mind. And you're obviously, you know, you're the expert at this now. You've done this with 3 kids for all these years. What made you, or your children, I don't know who decided you for your kids, or your kids wanted this, but what made you decide to do that, and what has that journey been like for you? Because I love to expand the minds of people, and I think even through education, you know, there is other ways that a lot of people aren't aware of, or the benefits of that. So I'd love to just stretch the minds of people who haven't experienced this but maybe thinking about this. What was that like for you and your children?
Oh, I love this. So the reason we traveled was, first and foremost, it actually started with, I'm going to homeschool my daughter. And I had never in a million years, I'm not the homeschooling type. I'm like, there is no way in hell. Like, when I would see other people homeschooling, I was like, there's no way. No way. I am not a homeschooling mum. That's not the kind of mum I am. Hell no. It was always just the like, so everybody that says to me, I could never do that. And I was like, times that by 10, that's how I felt. Like, I was like, I'm going to do that. And I'm really pig-headed. When I'm like, I'm not going to do something, I'm not doing it. But there was just these, it just started to be, so I was going into this time in my business where I was just coming out of some burnout in 2016, and just really trying to find my feet. I had deleted my entire email list. I'd completely had a kind of a breakup with internet marketing, because prior to that, I'd done all the things. You build your email list. I had 50,000 visitors a month coming to my blog. I turned that into a 6-figure business. I had all the back end situation. All of my courses were on a website that I created myself before there was all these stuff you guys get now. Oh my God, I'm so jealous. We had to like code the websites back in the day.
Yeah.
So I coded this website. It was stellar. Like, it was better than any of these like little simple basic Kajabis and stuff put together.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. Anyway, I had created all these websites, all of these stuff, all these courses, but it was all it was all mainly internet marketing. I didn't really go on Facebook and Instagram much at all. I didn't have time for that. I was doing my business. I was running a 6-figure business in 10 hours a week, with 3 kids. So, and one of them was a baby. And so I think what happened is in 2016, I really started to go, okay, I need to bring more balance into my life. I've got to get like, I'm having my come to Jesus kind of moment, because I deleted this entire situation, and I was going from Mum's Juggling Act, which was my brand and something I could hide behind, and just go like 4 ways to resurrect your routine, or like 4 productivity hacks. And that's like all I had to talk about. It wasn't anything like deep and meaningful. I mean, it was, but like not what it is now. And so I was going through this personal brand, like transition of creating this personal brand. So going from the juggling to the personal brand. So I was having a full identity crisis myself. So I started to go, I went on a quest myself. I was like, I'm going to go to the beach every single day. And my family were like feeling it. We were all just Groundhog Day. I would say 2016, we were all just in Groundhog Days. Like, this is all it is. Like, for the rest of our lives, we take the kids to school, they go to school, they come home, they do their homework, they clean their rooms, we have dinner, they go to bed. I'm just like, it's just the same thing every day.
Yeah.
And so I remember this. So I started this quest of going to the beach. So every morning I'd get them all out of bed. They'd hate it, and we go to the beach. And I'm like, I don't care. We're going to the beach. We all need like a zhuzh up. We're just like, we're
Yeah.
all so like, ugh,
Yeah.
groundhogging.
So,
So we
yeah.
need to change it. So we went to the beach every day. Then it got to like, and they'd hate it. They'd go and then they'd love it. So they'd get into the beach and they'd be like, ah, yay! Like so like completely night and day difference to their energy and their mental health and all of that. You got to think like with kids, like mental health is still a thing. Like you might be seeing they're just like low energy and mood. There might be some things you need to do to like change up things. So we went to this beach and then it was the school holidays. And so we were going a little bit later. It wasn't before school run. It was a little later. And we'd stay there for hours just on the beach.
Yeah.
And so I saw my daughter just coming alive. And I was like, oh, so school has really been having an impact. Like it's not just Groundhog Day. This is beyond Groundhog Day. This is like, oh, this is what's happening. Because I started to see like this sunshiny, bubbly, happy, and all of my kids, I was like, you don't see that when they're going to school every day. It's kind of like moo, rain, rain, like going through the day. And they were just like bubbly and jumping around. I'm like, something's changing here. So we do the holidays and everybody's so refreshed and excited and we're going to the beach every day. Everyone's just juiced up. I walked my daughter into school for the first day back and I could see her whole energy just drop, and she cried and she cried and she cried and she cried. I don't know how old she was, but maybe like 10 at that stage. I think she was about 10. She just cried and she cried and she cried and she said, I don't want to go. I'm like, we just have to go. And I heard myself and I was like, I put her in and it was like, it was something that would never have crossed my mind. I put her in the room and I left her and I cried as I left because the pain in her eyes of like, I've just experienced 2 weeks of happiness and now I'm back in this box and on this chair and you're just gonna, and I hate it and everybody hates me and I'm by myself and I sit by myself because just, you know, socially awkward. And so I walked back to the car and I was like, I never say can't and I never say have to. What the hell? So I'm like, maybe I just have to homeschool her. So I'm driving along. I'm like, maybe I need to homeschool her. Sort of long story short with this though, I went to the coffee shop, met somebody that homeschooled their kids, and he's like, it was the best thing that I ever did. Right at the coffee shop at that time, I was like,
of course.
oh my God. And so I'm like, oh my God, I could do this. I could homeschool. And I'm driving home. I'm like, oh, I could homeschool the kids. We could buy a caravan. We could travel around Australia. Never had that idea before. It just boom on a Tuesday, just like the clouds parted. I'm driving and I went home and I said to my hubby, I got an idea. And he's like, okay, let's go on bike ride. So we would go on a bike ride. I'd have Mason on the back. It was kind of my thing. I was in a balance mode, like go to the beach, go for bike rides. I was like, we need some sort of balance. And I was like, you know, really like trying to get some excitingness happening to Groundhog Day. I was like doing everything. So we went for our bike ride that we used to go on. And I go, okay, so how about we buy a caravan, we travel around Australia and we homeschool the kids? He goes, I'm keen. That's literally his reaction. I'm keen. I'm like, okay. We told the kids that night. They're like, we've always wanted to be homeschooled. 3 months later, we were walking out the door of the house we'd spent 9 years in and we never went back. And it was empty. We emptied the house out. We didn't sell it at that time. It was a whole struggle to sell it over the next year of traveling. It wasn't like it was now. It'd be like worth $1 million now, but it was, we couldn't even sell it at that time for like 480,000. But now it'd be worth $1 million. But whatever, I've made over $1 million since then, so that's fine. But 3 months later, and it was traumatic, like moving your life that quick. But that is the reason that we traveled, is because first and foremost, I wanted to homeschool my daughter. I wanted to take her out of school because she was just so like not happy in school and just not, I'm like, that's not where she's going to thrive. My daughter loved school. My other daughter, she loved school, but she was still keen. She was keen to do homeschooling, and she's at uni now. So she didn't need to do school. She didn't even do year 9 and she does university now.
Yeah.
So
this is
architectural science.
where you know, the like our traditional heads, if we want to call it that, like, yeah, it's getting your head around that, because when you only know a system, you only know a system.
Yeah.
So how does that work? Like, if you don't go through school, how do you
It's always
like
ways.
how do you then go on to, you know, maybe get some grades or going to university and things like that when you don't go through the normal system? How does that look? Were
Well,
you
that's what I did.
schooling on the
I
road,
did.
or were they self-led, or like how was it? Because I know, like, when my son first came out, I was trying to be the teacher and I was trying to bring school to the home, and that just failed big time. And I am lucky at the minute he has a tutor for a couple of hours a week, and then outside of that, it took me a while for me to expand, you know, for the more the self-led and what does he really enjoy, the science. So then everything's like science based, and it might bring some English through into there, some maths into there. And he's an outdoor kid and he loves working with his hands, and he's, you know, picked up doing some clubs now. Like you say, I've got my son back that I never had before.
Yeah, it's huge because you realize you put them into a system because you think that there's only one way. I graduated university being a high school dropout, so I already knew.
Right.
Because
Yeah.
I was walking around going like, well, I'm a high school dropout, I've got kids now, I'm just going to be society's write-off. And then there's one day this chick, like, it's all like all these synchronistic moments, right? And that's what I want to be for people, is seeing that other way. But I went to my job and I was crying on the way because I will work, like I would put in the work, but I would cry on the way being like, oh my God, 65 years, I cannot even. And I'm like, I want to be a journalist. I'll never be able to be a journalist because I was a high school dropout. I cannot go to university. I've got kids. I can't go to university because I've got to make money to pay rent. And then I walked into my job this day and this other chick was on and she's like, hey, I don't even know her name. She's like, hey, I'm working here now. And I was like, am I meant to train you? Like, I don't even, okay, fine. She's just this random person, don't even know her name. I'm training her. And so I'm like, what do you do? She's like, I'm studying to be a journalist. I'm like, oh, I would love to be a journalist, but I can't go to uni because I got kids and I didn't finish school. She's like, yeah, you still can get in. It's just correspondence. You do it online. You do the online version. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to have the cap and I want to graduate. She's like, yeah, you graduate with everybody. I was like, what is happening? Nobody tells you this. And so everybody kills themselves in year 12 to get good grades, and you don't even need to because you can just go straight in. Everybody was studying for their university levels, and she's like, I'm already at university, guys. You don't even need it. They're like, yes, you do. Yes, you do. She's like, here's my university units. I'm in university. I'm studying at Curtin University, a Bachelor of Architectural Science. You don't need to. You could start now. And some of her friends that were really academic and putting so much time and so much energy into their last years signed up to university in their last years because they saw her doing it, and she had broken the norm, and we've found like a cheat code. Yeah. And then everybody was doing them online, and they used the system that we had been using to do it online, and it was already there and ready because we did it that way. Right. And so then everybody else had to learn how to do it that way. And now everyone else is like, I'm not going back to campus. This is amazing. I can have a full-time job and study. So it's just like really knowing that there's always ways to get around whatever rules. They just want to make it very systematic so you do give up. They want to make it like so much red tape, so much like you've got to get good grades in year 11 and 12 so that you can go to university and pay us all this money. I didn't go to university to be a journalist. I mean, I paid all that money to literally learn time management and consumer behavior and biobehavior and PR. I mean, Bachelor of Communications is what I do now. It's like I work in communications, but the most thing that I learned really was time management and biobehavior and how to write long friggin' essays and reference everything. That's all.
It was the same with me. At school, like, school was really hard for me. I struggled with the learning and things like that. And I remember coming out as I am not going to college. Like, I've just had all these years of struggle. Why would I sign up for even more? And I was like, well, what are my other options than to go to college? And they were like, we just go get a job. I was like, nah, but it's got to be more than just that. And an apprenticeship. And I was like, well, what does that do? Well, you get paid and you still get to learn. Let me go and see what this is all about. And yeah, all my friends from school were going to college, going off to university, and even to like where we caught the bus in the morning, all the rest of the school, my friends were on one side of the road getting the college bus, and I'm here on my own. going to get the regular bus, like a public bus, over the other side of town to where the apprenticeship was. So the divide there was just like in my face, but I knew inside of myself, no, I'm up for the money, I'm up for some more stuff. Like, I wanted more. And when they offered me the apprenticeship, I said, but I don't want to go to college. And they were like, well, you kind of have to, it comes with it. And I said, well, when have I got to go to college? They said 1 day a week. And I was like, okay, I can do 1 day a week. And you pay me as well? Yeah. And I get all the training on the job? Yeah. Sign me up, I'm in. Like,
Yeah.
so I did 1 day a week. I ended up doing 8 years at college. I did ONC, BTEC, HNC, and business and finance. Then I did another 4 years in engineering, manufacturing. And it's just like, from somebody who didn't want to train, didn't want to go to college, you've just done 8 years because it was in a subject that I loved. I was still getting paid. So I kind of had, do you know what? I'm not going to follow the norm. There is another way. And then, like, you know, with my son being out of the school system right now, it's like, oh my God, like, I just scratched at the little surface. I thought I was different. And I'm like, no, there's this whole other world outside. And now I'm hearing, like, yeah, my son's studying for his degree and he's like really young. And oh yeah, my son's already in engineering college and he's like 13, 14. And I'm like, how is this even? Yeah, there are other systems when you open up.
That are smarter, that are just like, you're like, oh, I'm sending my kid to school, I'm so smart and I know exactly what I'm doing, and there's like all these other ways that actually make more sense, but we're just in that like hypnosis. And I mean, there's nothing wrong with it. Like, I mean, you got to do you if you know it's the right thing. Some people's kids love school. My first Tani loved school, but then we went traveling and she was more keen on the travel, not so much the homeschool. But she did like the homeschooling. She was very self-led and she would do it herself, but we're very relaxed with it. We just get private tutors. I don't really do, and I don't do any of the, let's be real, I don't do any of the English or math teaching. I just provide them with an epic life and get a private tutor for all of the things that they need to meet the criteria. But besides that, we teach them, but their teachers and tutors have been trained to teach him through games, our son. He's just not interested in learning words for no reason. So he knows big words like cancel, exit, play this game, like all these big words, because it's all the words that help him to play his games. And now he knows like all of these bigger ones, like upper left-hand corner, that he'll know those sentences, like upper left-hand corner, because of the keys that they've got to press and all the things. So yeah, it's like learning. Homeschool gives you an opportunity to go like, my kid is really smart, just not in the systemized way of understanding smarts. And that's where like most entrepreneurs, it's because we think different that we create these amazing things. Like I was an A for English for everything, but with math, science, or D for achievement, A for effort, but D for and then as I became a teenager, it was like a D for effort and D for achievement, because I was just like, well, I give up. Like, I'm putting my all into it, and you still go like, good try, but you suck.
Done. Do your best.
You suck. In our eyes, the trying and the effort means for nothing. We don't really care. We don't see that thing. So I think it's just this beautiful thing of like trusting your kids and understanding that they know what they need, and realize the redundancy of school, like the redundancy of the system. It's literally to create minions. It's to create people that work they needed, because what they've seen with the last 2 years is way too many people realized how much more is available to them. Now there's no workers, because they're like, oh, screw that. It's exactly what they thought would happen if people weren't going to school. It's like literally what's happening is what they feared. So,
and I was looking through, I was listening, like I was all over home ed then, like, you know, just getting everything I could, listening to all the podcasts, and I found this fantastic English woman doing this podcast. I'm trying to think of her name, Dr. Anna somebody. And oh my gosh, this just opened me right up, and I was like, this is it. Like, you know, my kids don't need to be in the school system, but again, my daughter, they love it. They love the friends, you know, come on, let's be honest. And it brings them a lot of pressure as well with it, but you know, they're like, no way could I home ed. Like, Logan's all over it, my son. He's like, oh yeah, this is the way to go, kids. And you know, he goes off BMXing, he goes trampolining, he goes to forest school, but he still has his tutor and the bits in between. And I remember because he, like through the counselling stuff, I had to like try and apply for a school or something. And so I was looking at, you know, his needs, and exactly what you're saying, some people just learn differently. And I kept getting, you know, confirmation coming through like, oh, what special needs does he need? What are his disabilities? And you need to fill out this form to see if you can get extra support. And I'm going through these websites and I'm trying to fill out this paperwork and stuff, and I get halfway and I literally wanted to throw up, and I was like, there's nothing disabled about my son. There isn't. He doesn't need extra support because the thing is, he just doesn't fit in that system. His soul wants something different. He's different. And so, yeah. And I was like, I was getting quite angry. I was like, you know, there is nothing wrong with my son. I stopped doing all the forms. I was like, there is nothing wrong with him. I was like, he is learning right now every single day, and he's open to learning now because we're doing it practically, we're doing it outside, we're doing it through science that he loves, and gaming. Like, that's where we started, through the gaming and things like that.
Yeah.
What, you know, what my son can't do, what he doesn't know about, he's got a motorbike and things, what he doesn't know about engineering and motorbikes and chemistry now with science. And you know, it's just, and he tests me and Simon like every week. He does a big PowerPoint presentation that's really animated. You know, ask him to write something on a piece of paper, he's like, I'm out. Or, you know, work off a sheet, he's out, and he will close down. But you get him into these things, and he loves testing me and Simon, and our brains are like, and we're like, we team up on this one. He's like, Mum, this week's really complicated. You and Simon can do it together. I'm like, thanks, son. But you put them in the school system, it's like, you must do this, you must be able to read at this age, you must be able to do this at a certain stage, and if you're not, oh, we'll give you some extra support, like there's something wrong with you. And I was like, I'm done with this system. Like, there's a whole other way, and you're living proof that, because I was the same.
World, yeah.
I can't do this. I am not a teacher. Like, I struggle through school. How the hell am I going to teach him? That's not going to work. Oh, and I'm running my business now, so that's going to have an impact. And then watching you, it's just like, if Jana can do it, traveling, 3 kids, multi-millionaire, blah, 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 blah. Right, shut up, Claire. Let's just get on to do this thing. And it works like this. It really does work like that. It's amazing. So again, you've given us permission.
It's amazing. Yeah. Love it. I just need to check the time. What is the time? I've got a podcast interview, another one. Oh, we're good. We're good.
We've got about 5 minutes. But anyway, with all of that, Jana, thank you so much for talking so openly about the big dreams, the ownership, the home editing, and, you know, really helping us see you and all of you. You know, there's no things that you've really sort of hidden here. So I really want to thank you for that. And for me personally, it's been incredible because I'm following, you know, similar journey in that way. Where can people come and find you and hang out with you and get more of your big dreams, genie vibes? Where can they find you?
I'm hearing like feedback. I don't know what is happening, but I think we'll be good. So you can find me at Jana Kingsford all over the internet. So Instagram, Facebook. I have an amazing YouTube channel which I'm super obsessed with. But yeah, just come say hey. Just like say hi in the comments. Come watch my stories. That's like a 24/7 situation. So yeah.
I love it. And I just want to say thank you for everybody who's watching, everybody who's catching this on replay. I can see there's some comments down here. If we hey Rima, how are you? Beautiful. How are you? Rima's just said, oh my god, I just took one of my kids out to start my homeschool journey. Yes, scary but committed. Jana, you've definitely inspired me. Oh, it is like the best feeling ever, Rima, when you start to see your kids like being exactly who they're meant to be. And oh my gosh, the confidence in my son. Like, you know, we have problems dropping him off at school. Like, people like, oh, you know, his communication is off and things like that. No, he just didn't have any confidence. He was just, you know, kind of what we call masking, just doing as he was told. I was like, how did you ever succeed? How did you get through school? And he was like, I just do what they tell me to do. And I'm like, but you didn't understand half of it. He's like, I know, I just gave it to the teacher. And I'm like, then what? They just tell me what to correct, so I correct it. And I'm like, oh my gosh. And now he's just like open, learning, but finding his voice as well. Like, if he even likes me, he's like, Mum, not into that one. I'm like, okay, so Rima, we send you so much love on this new journey. I'm really excited for you to see, you know, your child really open up and really get to know their soul and the child that they are meant to be. And Jana, thank you for showing us all in the world different ways, all the big dreams, all the stuff that comes with it. I love you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So everybody go catch Jana, and I will see you very soon on the online space. Thank you.
See you guys.
Day.
Bye.
Bye.